Hey folks, thanks for tuning in. I recently purchased a PSE Fang Crossbow. In Texas, archery season has recently been opened up to include crossbows. And for me, this was a great chance to get out in the woods earlier, to start hunting just before general gun season, before everybody's tromping around through the woods, spooking all the deer, all that. I've been looking into getting into archery for a few years, but I've always been a little bit hesitant because using a compound bow or a vertical bow is a completely different skill set than using a rifle or a shotgun or something I'm really familiar with. And I do think it's something that I eventually will get into and will learn. I was just a little bit hesitant at my ability to make an ethical kill. I don't think I would have any problem with being able to use a bow, but being able to be extremely proficient with a bow to the point that I know I could make an ethical kill all the time. And so a crossbow was a great transitional choice for me. I'm very comfortable with rifles and shotguns, very comfortable with firing from a pistol grip, which this pistol grip on the Fang closely emulates the grip angle actually of an AR, which is a platform that I'm very familiar with. And I went for the PSE Fang for a number of reasons. I looked at a lot of different crossbows, but I liked the Fang because it's a value price bow. This bow probably only costs between $300 and $350 depending on where you're buying it. It's a brand new bow for 2015 and it really looks to bring a lot of features from higher end bows or higher price bows into a value platform. I liked that it included these string stops, and that's a feature that is often only an aftermarket feature or a feature that comes on higher end bows costing $200 or $300 more than this one. And I find those helpful just because they catch the string, they quiet the noise a little bit, but they reduce the amount of vibration. So you don't have all that vibration going back into the bow and into your hands when you're shooting. It also comes with a quiver mount. Now this whole bow comes disassembled. You have to put it together, or if you buy it at any store that likes to take care of their customers, they'll put it together and test fire it for you. So it comes with this quiver mount, and yes, this is a pick rail right here. So this quiver mount, you can flip it the other way if you want to. I like it this way so that lock is on top. But you could also put a flashlight or a bipod or anything you can put on a pick rail, you could put right there. I think I'm just gonna keep it light and only put the quiver on there. It also comes with the quiver, and it's frankly a pretty cheap plastic. It's nothing to write home about. But again, this is a value price crossbow. So if they're making a decent bow, things like the quiver, things that are very popular on the aftermarket are the things that they're probably gonna cheap out on. And I think that's kind of what they did. So it's got this little, almost like a dovetail mount, but it's curved in there. And that's actually what locks it in. So you take the quiver, you slide that in, and it's a little stiff right now. I'm hoping it'll wear in as I take it in and out more and just use this more. And then that lock holds it in solid. I like that lock is fairly friendly and easy to remove because, well, I say that and then I have to pound it off. I probably need to just sand that down. Just make it so it slips out even easier. Because typically you'll want to carry your quiver on your crossbow, but then when you get to your stand or get to your tree, you'll want to take this off. You don't want that in the way when you're shooting. So yeah, I definitely need to sand that down. So take that off. It comes with 3 bolts. I don't know what, obviously they're an OEM, so they're not branded at all, and they actually don't even have a finish on them. They seem to be decent. They're 20-inch bolts, standard thread to accept any field points, broadheads, whatever. It comes with field points just for target practice. And I got my own aftermarket field points just because I'm not sure the weight of the ones that are on there, so I'd rather something that I actually know how it's gonna hit and know what it weighs. So I'm putting on my own field points for now. Again, just for practice, just for shooting into a soft target or a fiber-filled target. But when I actually hunt, these are the broadheads that I picked up. Now I know in the world of bow hunting, broadheads, picking a broadhead is like picking match grade bullets for rifle shooters. There are so many options, so many fancy custom things. There's mechanical broadheads, fixed broadheads. But for a fast firing crossbow, I wanted something that didn't take any mechanical energy to deploy. So that's why I went with fixed crossbows. And I know that with a bolt that travels this fast, the likelihood of damaging a broadhead is very, very high. So that's why I went with cheaper broadheads that have replaceable blades. So ultimately I can shoot these a lot, and if I break a blade or break a head, no big deal. I can throw it away, I can replace it, I can put a new one. I'd much rather do that than be tempted to prolong the life of my broadheads and be shooting with something that's actually not in ideal condition. So anytime you're messing with broadheads, obviously be very, very, very careful. These are razor sharp. These, I think they were Mossy Oak brand broadheads, but Mossy Oak obviously doesn't make broadheads. So these are just a generic manufacturer, and they look like they'll perform pretty well, but again, I'll keep you updated. So I went ahead and picked up two more, what are these? Carbon Express pile drivers. And I don't even remember what weight these were, but I went with these because they were the same weight, same length, and I've heard good things about them, but we'll see. We'll see. I may do a review on different bolts as I get more into crossbow stuff. But I'll probably replace these three with all nicer aftermarket bolts and just use these for practice. But again, we'll see as I get more into this. I went ahead and ordered a strap. I just ordered this off Amazon. Yes, it's a Mossy Oak breakup infinity pattern, just because I'm one of those dorky people who likes to match my camo patterns on different gear. I don't care if it matches my clothing, but everything on here, it just looks nice to match. Something interesting about the Sling Swivel, it does come with one, which is good, because I don't know about on crossbows, but with guns it really annoys me when they have a mount for a Sling Swivel, but it doesn't come with the actual stud, because that's probably a $1 part that it's ridiculous for companies to not include. So like that includes that, and it can mount either side. If you can see that screw hole right here or right here. I have it mounted on this side just because I'm left-handed, so I carry on my right shoulder, so it carries this a little bit off the shoulder, and that seems to work better for me. But I think as I use it more, I'll decide if I want to move it or if I want to keep it. Now, the one thing that I really don't like about this is the scope. In bright daylight, the picture through the scope is fairly clear. It's a fixed 4x magnification with a 32 objective lens. So it looks clear in bright daylight, but as you get into dusk and evening, when you really need a bright scope, that's when you can really tell that this thing's pretty weak. And I would say this is pretty much a repurposed airgun scope. And actually, right here, it feels like aluminum, but the scope bells, both the ocular and the objective, are plastic. So I'm probably gonna be taking this scope off and replacing it with most likely a True Glow scope, probably either a 4x32 again with a crossbow reticle. If you're not familiar with a crossbow reticle, it's like a rifle BDC reticle. It's got usually 4 different drop points, so you can sight in your crossbow at what's typically 20, 30, 40, and 50 yards, or whatever those points line up to be. So I'll either go with another 4x32, or I'll do a red dot that's got a similar type of reticle, 4 different dots that you can line up with multiple ranges. I like red dots for close range shooting because it allows a whole lot of light. You don't have to worry about light passing through several lenses. It allows a really bright, really clear picture. And if you're not shooting long distance, it's a great choice, but we'll see. We'll see what I put on here. That'll be another video in the future. The finish on this crossbow, it is a Mossy Oak Breakup Infinity. It's a camo pattern that it works decently in my area. I know there's a lot of people who have competing views, whether you like Realtree Extra, Realtree, APG, Mossy Oak, all that stuff. I think they're all generally pretty good these days. But this is a hydrographic wrap, and I can already tell, I've only shot this maybe, I don't know, 15 times. And there's places like on the limbs where you can already tell the finish is starting to not crack, but just wear a little bit. And so I don't have a lot of faith that this finish is gonna hold up real well. There's a little, almost like a little tear in the coating right there. But it looks all right. Now, if you're looking at the pictures online, just the regular product photo that a lot of people picked up is a horrible photo. It looks almost neon green. This is just a regular mossy oak breakup. If anything, it's slightly skewed towards the warm side. It's a little bit more brown. If you look at my stock, that's a woven nylon strap with the exact same finish. And you can see this is a little bit more, I don't know, not quite as saturated, not quite as brown, but still pretty darn close. So the finish looks good, but I don't have a lot of confidence on how it will wear. One thing I do like about just this setup is the safety is ambidextrous. So if you're left-handed or right-handed, this bow works equally well for you, which if you're a fan of my channel, you probably know that I talk about left-handed stuff, and that's important to me. And so I like it because it gives you the choice to use it with your offhand, which is what most people are probably gonna do, or if you're left-handed, reach up and use it with your thumb on your shooting hand. Either way, you've got a good solution. And this whole safety system, I haven't put it to the test, but I'm not really going to. But I do like that it automatically resets the safety when you pull the string back. Most crossbows these days do. So there's no chance that you're gonna accidentally be fiddling with the bolt, be sticking your hand in there when the safety is not on, when it's set to fire. So I really like that. The trigger is actually pretty good on this thing. Most crossbow triggers are. If you're coming from a world of rifle hunting, I was surprised to find that entry-level crossbows have pretty decent triggers. It's got a fair amount of travel, but the actual break is very crisp. And I would say it's probably about, I think factory they say it's 4 pounds. I would say that's pretty accurate. It might be a hair more than that, but if you're used to this type of grip, you're probably used to an AR-15 mil-spec trigger. It's a lot lighter than that. A whole lot lighter than that. It's got a little bit of travel, but it feels nice. And of course, it's got your foregrip right here. It's pretty textured, which I like, because most likely you're gonna be wearing gloves. I would recommend that with most shooting and hunting, but especially with a crossbow, just because with a string moving so quickly and bolts, there's just a lot of risk to your hand. So I would recommend wear gloves when you actually shoot it, and it does have these finger reminders so that when you grip that, any natural grip, you're not gonna be able to get your finger up to the rail, because doing that, anything beyond this point is gonna go downrange, and you don't want your thumb going with that string. So that's the number one precautionary rule in shooting a crossbow, is always keep all your fingers, all your digits. If you have a caul around your neck or some headwear or anything, just make sure it's away from the top of this rail where it's not gonna get tangled in the string. And that's just a basic look at the PSE Fang crossbow. Hopefully I'll be using this to take a deer during archery season. So I will let you know if I have any updates to this video or any other thoughts after using it a little bit more.